Hi guys, welcome to Call to Mind. Today we will discuss coronavirus. We all are closely monitoring the outbreak of respiratory illness, which is caused by a novel coronavirus first identified in Wuhan, China, and a lot number of cases has been actually it has resulted in thousands of confirmed cases in China, including the cases outside the Wuhan city. If we look at the numbers, probably there are more than 40,000 cases, almost all in China, and probably around 900 deaths linked to it. And obviously, there could be many more cases which are probably unreported. And international travel, as the international travel becomes easier, eradication becomes harder. So, what is a best case scenario for this outbreak? Definitely, it has to be containment. And you have to remember that this is not the first coronavirus to cause worldwide concern. We have two outbreaks before. One is in 2002, which was known as the SARS, Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome. And in 2012, we had the outbreak of MERS, which was the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. And both originated, with the coronavirus. So if you look at the coronaviruses in general, they are pretty common in different species of animals. Now here, remember that we are talking about animals. So these includes camels and bats, and these coronavirus, obviously, they're rare. Sometimes it's not very common. It's rarely they can evolve and infect humans, and this is how they spread between humans, and that's how we have two examples to follow, and which was the SARS and the MERS. So most coronaviruses, they basically infect animals, so but not the people. But these coronaviruses could evolve and then spread to humans, and this has happened in the past. So if we look at the types of human coronaviruses, and we have as a two newer human coronaviruses, which is the MERS and the SARS, and they have been known to frequently cause severe illnesses. So these are already examples in front of us. If we have to just make it very simple, we can say that coronaviruses are zoonotic, meaning that they are transmitted between animals and people. And the common signs of infection, definitely they include is a respiratory symptom, fever, cough, shortness of breath, and breathing difficulties. And yet, when we are talking about this a novel coronavirus, we are talking about it as a new strain that has not been previously identified in humans. When we talk about this new coronavirus, basically this virus is, spreading from person to person, and mostly very much in that part of the country. But at the same time, we're talking about is the travel from Wuhan, which are also, there have been a cases reported in growing number of international locations, and obviously throughout the country there are the numbers which are coming up that these many people have this virus has been spread, and person to person spread of virus now has happened outside China, has been detected. So for example, in India there were 3 cases, and there is more follow up, because every person who's has come from there, they've been tested. So what is the source, where it is coming from? So early on, many of the patients in the outbreak of respiratory illness, which is caused by this novel coronavirus in Wuhan, has some link to the large seafood and live animal market. So definitely it is suggesting us it's somehow it is from animal to person spread, and then from there person to person. So we have growing number of, because they had a growing number of patients, they did not have exposure to animal markets. So how they got infected. So definitely that indicates that there is a person to person spread. So Chinese officials reported that person to person spread in the community is occurring, in China. And definitely person to person spread has been also reported outside China in other global locations. What is the risk assessment? So when we look at the number of cases in China and number of death which has been reported, definitely we are concerned, because at this time some people will have an increased risk of infection, especially the healthcare workers who are taking care of the patients. So, but definitely, the risk is dependent on exposure. So, mainly, the healthcare workers. And the other thing is, which is of some concern, is person to person spread. And which is major concern is in China, because their containment was getting very difficult. So, the question is, should we press the panic button? Well, first of all, Chinese health authorities were first to post the full genome of 2019 novel coronavirus in Gene Bank and the NIH genetic sequence database and in global initiative on sharing all influenza data portal. So action which has facilitated detection of this virus. The CDC is also posting the full genome of the virus detected in the US patients to the gene bank as sequencing is completed. So, so we are more prepared, you know. Now, so what basically we all should be doing? So, World Health Organization standard recommendations to prevent infection spread include regular hand washing, covering mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, thoroughly cooking meat and eggs, and avoid close contact with anyone showing symptoms of respiratory illness such as coughing and sneezing. Doctors have been advised and to take the travel history if anybody comes to them with the respiratory symptoms, if they have any travel history to or within China. ये तो हुआ कोरोना वायरस का जनरल सिंस एवरीबडी इज आस्किंग कि क्या करें कोरोना वायरस में ये स्प्रेड कर रहा है, हम क्या कर सकते हैं? तो एक काम तो आप कर ही सकते हैं, वॉश योर हैंड विद soap and water, and this is one of the major recommendation given by World Health Organization. तो गेट में कैसा क्वेश्चन आ सकता है? सबसे पहले तो दे कैन आस्क यू कोरोना वायरसेस इनका नेम कैसे आया? सो कोरोना वायरसेस आर नेम फॉर द क्राउन लाइक spikes on their surface, and there are four main subgrouping of coronaviruses, और वो कौन सी हैं? अल्फा, बीटा, गामा एंड डेल्टा. तो ये आपको याद रखना है, इसके मेन द सब ग्रुपिंग ऑफ कोरोना वायरसेस, जो कि अल्फ़ा, बीटा, गामा एंड डेल्टा है. साथ में आपको मर्स का फुल फॉर्म याद होना चाहिए. दिस इज़ अ बीटा कोरोना वायरस दैट कॉजेज मिडल ईस्ट रेस्पिरेटरी सिंड्रोम, and SARS का the beta coronavirus that causes severe acute respiratory syndrome. And the coronavirus in question we've been discussing, that is 2019 novel coronavirus. So this all information you should remember. And some coronaviruses that infect animals can evolve, and then they can make people sick and become a new human coronavirus. And we have a recent example only, which is 2019 novel coronavirus. And you should also remember this virus is associated with an outbreak of pneumonia in Wuhan city, which is in China. Now, investigations are going on to learn more and more about this novel coronavirus. So, definitely, गेट में definitely question आ सकता है SARS coronavirus को लेके. And that was also because first recognized in China in November 2002. And it caused definitely a worldwide outbreak around 2002 to 2003 and caused around more than 700 deaths. Also, the MERS coronavirus that was reported in Saudi Arabia in 2012, and it has since caused illness in people from dozen of other countries. आई थिंक कोरोना वायरस गेट के अगर व्यू पॉइंट से देखें तो ये डेफिनेटली इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है बिकॉज दिस वाज अ सीरियस पब्लिक कंसर्न एंड while definitely we have to praise China's aggressive response to the virus. They closing the transportation, school, and the market. Dr. Michael J. Ryan, Executive Director of the World Health Organization, he mentioned that one clinical trial is already on the way in China in an attempt to find a cure to the novel coronavirus. And he's working with the Chinese authorities to implement further clinical trials. There's a growing concern that if this virus, it reaches the weaker health system, there will be a lot of problems. So there is the need of help. The richer countries should help invest in the countries with a weaker health system. So more and more research is required to so a lot more investment is now required in conducting these clinical trials, and this is important. I mean, the coronavirus has killed 1,000, more than 1,000 people so far, and more than 40,000 people have been diagnosed cases of coronavirus in China. There has been growing concern that coronavirus could hurt the global economy. Specifically, there has been news of American Airlines extends the suspension of flights to and from mainland China and Hong Kong, and there is a growing cruise ship crisis. Like 135 cases have been confirmed on a ship quarantined in Japan, and another ship which is carrying more than 2,000 people is still searching for a port after being denied entry to at least 4 ports. Even the World Health Organization, they mentioned that with 99% cases in China, this remains very much of an emergency for that country, but one that holds a very grave threat for the rest of the world. We have to support research in this area, and what is the most important thing before we leave is how do I keep myself and the others safe. Washing your hands frequently is the most important thing you can do, along with staying at home when you are sick.